Hello and welcome back to the Remake tutorial videos. In the last video, we learned how to render our page based on the data in our user database. This time, we're going to learn how to make this data editable from the page. So let's go into our HTML and let's edit this first element. So we're going to add a new attribute called data editable, and that's it. We'll refresh the page, and now this element should be clickable and editable, and if we change this, it's going to update our header text over here. Perfect. So that was pretty easy, right? Not too painful. Now, let's add editable attributes to the rest of our page. So let's do data editable, and let's go into, let's see, the stack heading. We're going to add one there, and we're also going to add one to the cards. Okay. We'll refresh the page, and now these should be editable too. And we can see if we refresh the page, it's updated, right? So if we type in whatever, we save it, we refresh, it's updated. It's dynamic. It's based on dynamic data now, and we're changing that dynamic data. And the last one is if we click on a card and we say reach out to potential dancers and click save, it's updating there, and we can also see it right here in our card text on the on the back end. Okay, perfect. So let's fix a couple things though. So something you might notice if you use this for long enough is there's a couple bugs. One is that if we click here, there's actually a remove button. And if we remove this element, it's actually not going to be good. It's just going to remove the entire element from the page, and there's going to be no way to get it back because we actually have no add heading button here, right? So we don't want this remove button here. There are some elements that we don't want to be able to remove. So for those elements, we're going to add a data editable and then with remove attribute, or sorry, without remove, and let's refresh the page. Now this doesn't have a remove button. The one other issue here though is that I can delete all of the text and click save. Now Remake does something to help you out here. It's going to actually add in this dashed line here so that at least there's something you can click, but it's not the best experience, right? So what would be better is if maybe this defaulted to something instead of being able to be set to an empty string. So let's handle that. So right below the header text, it can go anywhere on the element, but we're just going to put it right below the header text. We're going to say data o default, and then the name of the label, so header text, and then we're going to say my projects, and that's just going to be the default for this. So now if I delete all this text and click save, it's going to default to my projects no matter what. And that'll make it so that if there is something on the page that you don't want to be removable or empty, you can make that happen with default, as well as making the editable attribute not have the remove button. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is if we say add a new, oh, we can't add new stacks yet. So if we remove, we'll get to that in the next video. Okay, so if we remove and a stack here, right? So we're going to click remove here, and this is supposed to remove the entire stack. It's actually just going to remove that element. Now the reason for that is Remake will default to removing the closest element with data. So what that means is it's just going to remove this paragraph tag that holds the stack heading. So we need to actually make this data be higher up in the DOM if we want that remove button to be able to affect the right thing. So let's go in here, and we're going to move this data all the way up to the top of the stack. We can remove this duplicate data o type here. But we're going to keep actually this data I editable down here because we want the clicking on the on the stack heading to make it editable. And by default, this editable attribute is going to look for, again, the closest element with data to edit that element. So it's fine just moving it further inside. Okay, but now we've moved this key up there. Now, how does it know that it's going to be pointing to the stack heading? It doesn't actually. It thinks it's pointing to the inner text of this element, which is going to be a problem. But what we can do is actually just give it a target. So we can say data L target, and then we're just going to put in stack heading here. And then that will by default, this by default is going to look for a corresponding target element that matches, you know, its format. So data L key, stack heading, data L target, stack heading. It's going to look for that by default. If it doesn't find one, then it'll default to looking at the inner text of the current element. But if it does find one, it's going to look at the inner text of that element, which is exactly what we want. So now if we save that and refresh, now if we click on this logistics and click remove, it's actually going to remove that entire stack, which is what we want. Okay, perfect. The last thing we want to do is actually add a default value to one of these as well. So we're going to say data O default stack heading equals my stack, I guess. Or yeah, that's fine. Or yeah, my stack, that's fine. Okay, so we'll refresh this, and now if we ever try to set this to have no text, it's going to default to my stack. Okay, perfect. I'm going to reset the data here, and in the next video, we're going to learn how to add new items to the page. See you in the next video. Bye.